We're talking with Doug Bennett, who is Conservation Manager for the Southern Nevada Water Authority. You mentioned before we started our show today that you used to do horticulture before you started this direction for your career. But knowing that you know horticulture, this is a great time of the year to be doing things outdoors. And this is a great time of the year to be working on the yard if you are fortunate enough to have a house and get it all set up. Somebody who is going, gosh, that is a great idea. Is there a resource through Southern Nevada Water Authority to help people know what's the best approach?
Yeah,
is there some place we can go to get ideas?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's as close as your home computer. What I'd suggest is you visit either the website of the Las Vegas Springs Preserve, get out in this beautiful weather and go visit the Las Vegas Springs Preserve. You can see a variety of plants there. You can see what they're doing at this time of year, what they look like. You can touch them. You can smell them. You can see whether they're attracting insects, if they have flowers on them. But if you can't get out to the Springs Preserve, they also have a great database where you can go online and say, I'm looking for a tree that's under 20 feet tall that likes full sun. And it'll give you a list of recommendations for this region, tell you about their water needs, about their pest problems, some of the challenges. So it's a tremendous resource. Too many of us, spring fever, right? As soon as it gets nice, the nursery bustles. And a huge number of people will just go to the nursery and start wandering around the aisles and say, oh, I like this. What is this? I don't know, but I'm getting 4 of them. I'm going to find a place for them. A little planning goes a long way, because sometimes things that look great in the nursery are not good performers in the yard. Do a little research. When you create a landscape, you're creating something that's going to endure for decades. Imagine if every time you bought a car, you knew you were keeping that car for 30 years. You'd do some serious research, right?
I think so, yeah. I want it to be something that's going to survive for my habits and my environment. That's really an investment.
Oh, absolutely.
That adds up pretty fast.
A lot of people don't give it a lot of thought. And I'll tell you, especially in tract housing, they do hire professional landscape companies, but they do your landscape on a budget. Everybody gets 2 bushes and a tree, 2 bushes and a tree. And so this is your opportunity, especially in a cookie-cutter environment, to add your own flair, to give your home its own distinction. And if you have areas that you have grass and you've been thinking about downscaling that grass, you don't have to get rid of it, but maybe you just want to shrink those turf areas into the functional parts of the lawn. We'll give you a rebate to convert your landscape to a more water-efficient approach, and we pay people $1.50 per square foot. So we're paying anywhere from 25 to 50% of the cost of doing one of these conversions. You just do the project. We don't have a lot of design requirements. We don't tell you which plants to plant. We give you basic guidelines, comply with those guidelines, and you get a check within a couple of weeks of finishing your project.
We had a lot of compliance with the idea that people would pull up grass and replace it with desert landscaping so that they could get that rebate. I know that a lot of people did take advantage of that.
Oh, absolutely. We've done 172 million square feet. And even that seems intangible
that kind of
to me.
boggles
I don't even
me.
know.
How big is that?
Yeah,
That's
I don't know.
huge.
Most of us are familiar with the strips of sod that they sell at the nursery, right?
Sure.
How grass comes in these little rolls or these pieces. They're 18 inches wide. The amount of grass that's been converted from this valley to water-efficient landscaping would be a strip of sod that would reach 85% of the way around the earth.
Whoa.
That's how much change has been affected in Las Vegas. And so a lot has been done. Many of your listeners have done it. We have today water use that's approximately equivalent to what it was 15 years ago. And during those 15 years, we have more than 600,000 new neighbors in the Las Vegas Valley. So we're using the same amount of water as we did a decade and a half ago, and we're serving more than 500,000 additional people. And we're doing that because of the efficiency efforts of the people who live here in the Las Vegas Valley.
I know I've got appliances that are Energy Star, that are lower water usage, toilets, shower heads, washers.
Right.
All of that helps us toward that goal.
Oh,
that's a great idea, though, that we've grown so much, but our water usage has not ballooned or exploded as a result.
Oh, yeah, we've done a great job in terms of conservation, but we're absolutely not done yet. I still need this job, Harry.
We'll keep you busy, don't you worry.
We still have water in the streets. We still have some non-functional grass. To be quite honest, we still have a segment of the population whose lives have not changed at all since 1985. And they have the same same landscape. They're watering it the same way with aging sprinkler systems. So there are still people that we need to get on board, and the way we do that is by helping them understand through peer influence, through media like your show, that there are alternatives to this. And a lot of people resist those changes, but once you get them to break into it, so many people are so excited about what they've done. When I moved here, all the houses on my street were nearly identical. They were different floor plans. They were different square footages. This is a true story. I lived on a street with 8 houses just on one side of the street. For the first few days after I bought that house, I would just push the garage door opener because I wasn't quite sure which one. They looked the same.
They were so cookie cutter that you couldn't really tell?
It was easier to let the garage door open.
Tell me which house I live at.
People were scared to make a change. They were worried about what the neighbors would think. They were worried about where their dog was going to lay down. All these things can be accommodated in a good landscape design. And your neighbors are doing this with the exception of certain neighborhoods where we haven't really broken in. And every now and then I'll go into some gated community and go, wow, it's like a bubble in here.
It's throwback to an earlier time where everybody had way too much grass.
So there's still water out there to be captured through conservation.
Well, if somebody was looking to do that, let's see the website, SNWA.com.
Yeah, and it's important that people know that we are governed by elected officials, that we're an agency that is owned by the people. We're a not-for-profit organization, and so are all of the water agencies in the Las Vegas Valley, the City of Henderson, Las Vegas Valley Water District. We think it's important people know we're doing all these things to manage water in the public interest, not because it improves our bottom line or we make a greater profit for our investors. There are no investors. We're invested in the success of this community.
It's funny because when you talk about water, it's such an issue. It's so important to all of us. And I love the different takes that I get. And I'm sure that you have the same thing come up. I've heard, gosh, they don't seem to charge very much for the water here, even though it's very, very valuable.
I'll find lots of people who want to argue with
I
them.
know that.
2 million people in this valley, and you just can't win them all over. And so my last water bill, I believe, was $27. And a significant part of that are the base charges for making sure that the system operates properly. It's a tiny fraction. I mean, literally 3 people at a fast food restaurant are going to run over $20 in terms of the expense. And yet you're providing a resource that's clean, that's functional, that's reliable, straight to people's homes and businesses. And we still have people that feel like it's extraordinarily expensive. It's kind of a quandary in some respects. I want you to conserve it, but it's pretty inexpensive. And the reason being, again, these are not-for-profit agencies. They only have the desire and the ability to collect from their customers what it costs to run the system and provide the service. Now, we know that's getting more challenging. We have a third intake in the lake.
Third straw, as they call it.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. That third intake is going to require a pump station that's going to be able to draw from those deeper levels, hundreds of millions of dollars. And obviously, we as Las Vegans are going to have to pay for that infrastructure. And that's going to have an impact on your water bills. So it's very affordable, but as water gets more challenging, there are projects that must be done. On the bright side, the amount of infrastructure that we've needed in a conservation mode has been much lower than what it would have been if we were all behaving the way we did in the 1990s. And so it's hard to convince people that their bill is lower than it would have been without conservation, but it certainly has. We're serving many more customers with much of the same infrastructure. We haven't had to go add on to it. And these projects we're doing today are simply matters of water security and reliability. You can't do without them.
We've got to have it. It's necessary for everything. You were talking about the third intake pipe into Lake Mead. I would think that by this point in time that everybody would be aware that that's got to do with that lake level, with the drought and such, falling lower and lower. And as we mentioned earlier, how the marinas needed to move their base of operations farther into the lake so that they could take advantage of getting those boats in and out. But getting that third straw, I know that that's been a challenge. That baby has not gone in quietly and willingly.
Well, it's a tough project.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, we have success in that the tunnel boring machine has tunneled into the intake structure. It hit the target. We have a structure that can draw water. What we don't have yet is a pump station that can draw from those deepest depths. There's a lot of misconceptions about the lake. There are people that believe that, and I don't know I guess through other media reports, that the Colorado River is going to dry up or that Lake Mead will one day be gone. We don't believe that's true by any measure. The conditions on the lake now are that many more people have access to the water than the river has been reliably supplying. So we're pretty confident that the river, in a climate change scenario, is probably going to produce less water. But we have the capacity as the states that draw on the Colorado and the country of Mexico to sort out our demands and to shrink our demands to come back into alignment with what that river is able to produce. In the meantime, though, imagine you're drinking your favorite cold drink on a hot Las Vegas day, and I gave you an 8-inch tall glass and a 4-inch long straw. You're not going to be able to get it all.
I'll have to tip that baby to get
So
to
unless
it.
the waitress wants to come by and keep refilling you every time you draw it down, and that's the situation with the third intake. We want to make sure that we have an intake that's low enough in the lake that we always have the ability to draw our limited amount of water. The other thing I've seen described in the media is that Las Vegas wants to be able to suck the last drop out of Lake Mead. Absolutely not. We get 1.8% of the water allocated on the Colorado River. We will never get more than that. That's our allocation. So we have a very tiny sliver of water, but we need this infrastructure to make sure that we absolutely always have access to that 1.8%.
It's like a Colorado River pact that started way back years. I'm going to say 1930s era,
1920s, actually.
Where they started parceling it out, give some to Arizona, and Nevada doesn't have a lot of agriculture and was very, very small in comparison to what we are now.
Yeah, there were about 5,000 people scratching out a living here in the 1920s.
And then there's California,
which had enormous potential, and we should appreciate that potential because a huge amount of the food we eat comes from California.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of folks that say, well, let's go back and revisit the 1920s and the 30s and all these decisions that decided how much water we should get because there are now 2 million of us and we have a substantial economy. What we found is most effective is not trying to go wrestle things away from your neighbors, but working with your neighbors collectively to come up with solutions that work for all of us. So there's a very good functioning relationship between the 7 states that take Colorado River water and even the country of Mexico. There's been huge improvements in policy. There are negotiations going on all the time about how we're going to deal with some of these issues and make sure that all of our economies are solid and that water is supplied to people throughout the West that rely on the Colorado River.
Cooperation. That's
Absolutely.
the ticket. That's what we have to have. We were talking about water rates. About $10 for the water bill for me on a monthly basis.
Depending which jurisdiction you live in, because everybody's got different rate.
I hadn't thought about it. Mountain's Edge.
Okay, Las Vegas Valley Water District.
Mm-hmm.
But typically, in your home, you use anywhere from, in a new modern home, no leaks and so forth, you're typically going to be using about 45 to 55 gallons of water per person per day. One of the big surprises is most of your water goes outside. So even in a very water-efficient household where you feel like you're being careful about it, even with desert landscaping, you got to remember there's still a lot of stuff out there. Your landscape is to water what your air conditioner is to your electric usage.
Huge.
It is the big dominant force. And it's important to us because any water you run down the shower, washing machine, dishwasher, all of those appliances in your home, we have full opportunity to collect it, clean it, and reuse it. Every gallon of water that's taken from the environment to help supply the community of Southern Nevada actually gives us 1.7 gallons of use because we use water indoors and then we reuse 100% of that water that was used indoors.
It's reclaimed.
Absolutely. And so in that respect, we're one of the largest cities in the West in terms of our water reuse programs. Makes up 40% of our water supply.
Stuff that you use outdoors is not that way.
It's lost to the atmosphere. It evaporates, runs off. So simple things everybody knows. I hope you people know. Turn off the water when you brush your teeth, but don't call that your conservation program. You should have been doing that since you were 3 or 4 years old and first learned which end of the toothbrush was which. Hopefully you've been doing that all along. What's important to us is consumptive water use, water that is lost to the environment and ultimately evaporates into the air.
Swimming pools.
Swimming pool evaporation, yeah, it can be substantial. About 1 in 4 homes in the Las Vegas Vegas Valley have a swimming pool. And I have to tell you, we were talking about efficiency. We don't have anything against swimming pools. Make sure they're appropriately sized and appropriately managed. And by gosh, go swim in them. The least efficient swimming pool is the one that you look out the back window at and nobody ever gets in.
It's not just there to look pretty. What are you talking about?
And one program that we have that's been very successful is we help people pay for a swimming pool cover. And a swimming pool cover can reduce evaporation by more than 10,000 gallons per swimming pool per year, and that's substantial. It can also save you a lot of energy. It can expand the usage season for your swimming pool. There are many, many benefits of using a pool cover. I realize it's a little bit of a hassle. You want to swim, you got to go out there, you got to pull this thing off, you got to roll it up, fold it up, put it away. You get done, you got to go put it back on. But it's an important management strategy, and we're asking people to go a little bit out of their way to try and get the most mileage out of our water supply.
Let's liken it to making the bed when you get up every morning. Yeah, well, we're just going to get back in it tonight. It's worth it. Come on, it's not that big a deal.
Depends who you are, I guess. But I had a son that he would argue that rationale on and on, that there's no sense. I'll just close the door and we'll all be good.
Yeah.
At one point, I finally decided, all right, let's go with that.
Yeah. If I don't see it, it's not really there. As far as my lawn is concerned, total desert landscaping. Don't have a pool, have a dry creek. Love that. Love desert plants. But in a case like that, as you were mentioning, even in a water-efficient landscape like I have at my house, still water is one of my bigger users outside?
Well, you can get a good idea of that. But
not this.
If you compared your February water bill to your July or August water bills, you really will see the impact of that outdoor use. We're one of the few cities in the U.S. that actually has to water our landscapes year-round. It's important that people comply with the watering restrictions. You don't want to water those plants more than once a week during the winter season, January, February. But you'll see your bill start to climb. So if you look at the difference between your water use in July and August versus what you used in February, you'll get some idea of the portion of water demands that are going to outside uses.
I like what you said about the pool cover. That sounds like a win-win for everybody. Helping to conserve on energy, helping to save water. You have some kind of program with Southern Nevada Water Authority.
Yeah, it's a cool program because it's so simple. And it's also good for the businesses that support the pool industry. But we will pay up to half of the cost of a floating swimming pool cover, up to $50. And so it typically costs people $80 to $120 depending on the size of their pool to get one of these covers. You just go to SNWA.com. Can't find your way around the site. There's a lot of stuff there. In the search box, just type in pool. And you will find our pool cover coupon program. And all you do is you fill in some lines, you print this coupon on your home computer, and you take it to one of the participating dealers, and virtually all swimming pool maintenance companies subscribe to the program. Take your pool cover up there, and they go, that's $100. You hand them the coupon, and they go, oh, minus $50. Because the water authority is going to pay for half, and therefore you only pay $50 at the register. And what's cool about that is I don't need you to clip a UPC symbol and tape it on a sheet of paper and fill out a form and lick a stamp and mail it to me and wait several weeks to find out if you get a rebate or not. We deal with it through the business community. They turn all the coupons into us, we validate them, and then we reimburse them. And so it makes it much simpler for the consumer to do it that way.
You don't have to do any follow-up. You just give the coupon to the company that's helping you with that pool cover, and they go, we'll take it from here. We're good.
Yeah, we do that every 3 years. So if you're a pool owner, I know these things don't last forever, but please do take care of your cover. If you don't take care of it, it'll last 1 to 2 seasons. If you take good care of it, fold it up, keep it out of the sun when you're not using it, and so forth and so on, you can usually get 3 seasons of use out of a pool cover. Now, I know a lot of people might want to argue with that, but we'll only give you a coupon every 3 years. So don't expect us to buy you one every single year so you can wad up the other and throw it away. We want to get some mileage out of it.
But if somebody has actually taken part in that program or didn't know about it previously and had a pool cover years ago, when they get that new one every 3 years, they can look to taking advantage, at least at this point in time, of that pool cover rebate, which is a great program.
Absolutely. We have another program for what's called a smart irrigation controller. Same kind of coupon approach. So a smart irrigation controller, probably a lot of us are perplexed, not me so much. A lot of us Southern Nevadans are perplexed about the irrigation controller that turns our sprinklers and our drip systems on and off. And it's a confusing little device for a lot of people, but a smart controller has the ability not only to allow you to put data into it about your needs, but it also monitors the weather. And so when we had this rainy, cool weather that we had throughout January,
it knew?
It would know, and it would say, I know you're allowed to water every week, but we don't need to water this week. It's pretty wet out, and it would keep the water off. So if it was raining, it would turn off the water. If it was cool or humid, it might run the water, but it might apply less water. If it was extremely hot and windy, it would water on your watering day, but it might put a little more water on. The idea being to give the plants just what they need. These smart controllers will pay up to half the cost of a smart controller, up to $250. And that also can be done through this coupon approach by visiting a participating retailer.
Find out all about that at SNWA.com. Wow, these are things that I did not even know existed.
Yeah, well, we try to inform you. We got stuff in your water bill. I know everybody just pulls the water bill out. They look at how much do I owe.
No, that's what the husband does. That's why I don't see it, is because he handles that.
But there's often a little flyer in there talking about some of the programs that exist. And so we're hoping that people will read these. After, of course, I do this every single day. So I'm like, for 15 years, I've known about these things, and I'm always shocked that people who've lived here for 5, 6, 10, 15 years.
23 here.
Yeah, sometimes don't have any idea that we've been offering these programs. Or there's also sometimes people are surprised, oh, you still do that? They had heard somewhere that we don't do it anymore. So yeah, we're still big on conservation. We have lots of programs.
I think that he should share it from our water bill at our house. I think when he gets that little flyer talking about rebate programs and different conservation efforts that you've got going on, that he needs to share that with me so that I'll be all up to date.
You remind me of the business sector is a challenge for us because many of the buildings in this valley are being owned and managed by corporations where the bill is being sent to Minneapolis. And of course, the accounting department is opening the bill. And they're not always, sometimes they're not even sure what the bill should look like. They don't know if there may be a huge leak at that building. Is this a normal bill? They just simply process it. And so in many cases, the business sector is detached from what's going on in Las Vegas simply because a lot of our messaging is going to their corporate offices in other parts of the United States.
Someone who does not live in this climate and doesn't deal with it on a daily basis.
Right.
And it's just they're a little bit more removed.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why it's important for people in a workplace, be they residents or the proprietor or a manager in a workplace, to try and get the corporation's attention about what those opportunities are and what we can do locally. So it's not that the corporations are opposed to doing it. In many cases, it's a very cost-effective measure for them. They just don't have any idea of what's going on in all these thousands of different communities that they operate in.
You mentioned a moment ago about a leak, monitoring for leaks. I had a friend several years ago, Henderson area, and I know that he had a pool in the yard, and suddenly his water bill came around, and it was $800 something. It was
Wow.
$800 plus.
Shocker.
At that point, I think he's thinking that there's been a mistake made on the end of the water authority, when in reality
you want to find somebody to blame for an $800 bill.
Well, you
right?
want to call up and go, can you take care of that? And they say, well, no, we can't. We can help you with things, but you obviously have a leak, and you need to keep an eye out for things like that, because honestly, that is something that the homeowner is going to be liable for. It's not like you're going to be with the credit card company and call up customer service and say, can you take that late fee off? And boom, they do it. It's not the same thing.
Well, some of the agencies actually can help you. They can help you figure out what's going on. They may even be able to help you with the bill. They may be able to arrange payments for you. Sometimes they have an assistance program. And so it doesn't hurt to call them. They can give you good ideas on how to pursue a leak. If you ever want to know more about how to determine if you have a leak and how large it is and what the cost efficiency is of tracking it down and fixing it, we have a terrific video that you can watch online. So go to SNWA.com, put the word leak in the search box. You'll find a video there. It's about a 25-minute long video that helps a homeowner walk through the steps of figuring out, do I have a leak? And if so, how large of a leak? Keep in mind that water is really destructive. So people like to, in your mind, a leak is a dripping faucet, or it's where water comes through the ceiling when a pipe bursts or something. A huge number of leaks are completely unseen. A leaking toilet is, especially if it's a bathroom that you rarely use, can lose thousands and thousands of gallons of water per month. A hung up toilet flapper chain, the chain gets tangled. I've had people where they went on vacation for a week. Somebody used the restroom right before and forgot to jiggle the handle, and water ran at 6 gallons a minute for an entire week. And of course, you are ultimately going to have to pay for that water, but a lot of these things are avoidable, or you can explore and figure out what's going on. So the video is a very useful tool, but also monitor your water bill, what's normal. And a leak can sometimes creep up on you. I had a customer, I used to work for the city of Albuquerque. I had a customer that talked to me on the phone. We went through, he explained there's only 2 of them. I looked at his house on an aerial photo to see what his landscape looked like. His bill seemed extraordinary to me, and he goes, no, that's pretty normal. But when I looked at multiple years of history, what had happened is it just crept up. It was a gradual leak that was getting worse and worse and worse. So it's a little bit like, they say the frog in the boiling pot, right? If you turn up the heat real slowly, the frog forgets to jump out. And he became conditioned to the bill just getting higher and higher and higher. He thought it was a water rate issue.
Well, yeah, you would think there's just getting more expensive.
Yeah. And water at the time was getting more expensive, but his usage was actually creeping up. And so pretty simple stuff, lots of information on the web. You can watch a video and absolutely learn how to do some of this yourself. And even if you're going to hire a plumber, don't forget those guys make you're going to pay them $60 or $80 an hour. The more homework you can do, the more effectively you can point them to where the problem is. You don't want to pay them $80 an hour to come explore things that you could have explored for yourself to maximize the efficiency of their time and come out with the smallest bill you possibly can.
Knowledge is power. I believe that. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of great things on the website, and it's SNWA.com, Southern Nevada Water Authority. Wow. I knew that I wanted to get you in here to talk about water issues, because to me, that's one of the biggest things we're facing in the Valley is we've got to have it to live. We got to take care of it. We need to conserve it. We need to be knowledgeable about it. We need to do it right.
Oh, absolutely. And we need to be proud about what we've accomplished.
I like that. Okay, a little patting on our back right here, right now. Yeah.
Well, Terry, and like many people, I've been here 15 years, but I'm still a newcomer. It's not like I'm 4 generations in to Southern Nevada. In many respects, a lot of us are newcomers. We need to realize there are other newcomers going to come behind us. We need to realize that many of us, our own children, are going to stay here in this valley, and we may be serving a larger and larger population over time. That's just the trend for all Western cities. But we need to realize that we have done a good job, and we have pulled together as a community around this. There was a time in this city where people felt like, as a community, we weren't tackling things. We felt very detached. And one of the things made me proud about water conservation was people really connected with it. They really jumped in and they did it, and they felt good about it, and they're proud of what they've accomplished, and it had an influence on their family members and their neighbors. And it was in many respects, it was somewhat contagious. Someone on the block would do it. Someone else would feel like it was okay to do it. Somebody else would follow suit. We're really changing the face of the whole community that way, and we should be proud of what we've accomplished and of what we're going to accomplish in the future.
And it's not that hard to do. Now, Doug Bennett, you mentioned when you first moved to town that you lived in an area where you had 8 houses on the street that looks so different that as a new resident, you'd hit that garage door opener just to be sure. Is it that way anymore, or have you had a positive influence on your neighborhood?
No, with few exceptions, I'm going to say only one house on that street has the same landscape design that the builder put in. One of the 8. And so there's varying types of landscapes, but there's a lot more character. I mean, they're not cookie cutter houses anymore. They're all pinkish stucco houses with red tile roofs, but everyone's landscape has a little different character. When we moved in, it was every other house had a different kind of tree, but everybody had a lawn. Nobody had a courtyard or any of those kinds of features that people have put in since they've redesigned their landscapes. And so I think it's been positive in that respect. People feel like it's okay to go there and exercise their own design ideas on their property.
We bought 2 different new homes over the years, and I think it's pretty much everything I've encountered, they say, yeah, we'll take care of you. We got the landscaping in front. Backyard is standard issue dirt.
Yeah. I don't even know if you can call it dirt. It's like rock and hard pan is what most of us
Well, yeah, a little caliche maybe underneath. I don't know. It's that interesting backyard that we get.
Construction debris. It's anything goes, man. If you go landscape your own backyard, you'll find that in many cases it's a jackhammer job. So.
Oh, yeah, we got a few challenges, but overall, it sounds like you're right. We do have a lot to be proud of as far as the Las Vegas Valley and this entire area, the way that we've reacted to trying to conserve our water resources. And yeah, I think everybody deserves congratulations on that.
Yeah, and don't stop. Keep going.
There's more we can do.
The most powerful water conservation tool is your mind. And so keep focused on where are you using water, what are you using it for? Are there alternatives? What else can we do? There are lots of opportunities for us to capitalize on other water conservation measures, and we need to keep pushing down that road, and we need to try and encourage other people to get with us.
And if you need information, check the website, very informative, SNWA.com. Information on landscaping and all kinds of ideas for your pool and detecting for leaks, and I'm sure that's where we get our watering schedules and everything else.
Absolutely.
So be sure to check the website when you get a chance at SNWA.com. I've learned a lot today.
Well, that's good. I've enjoyed being here.
Appreciate you coming around. Doug Bennett, the Conservation Manager with the Southern Nevada Water Authority. Appreciate you joining us today on Talking Solutions. Talking Solutions is a production of the Community Relations Department here at Beasley Media Group, Las Vegas. Get more information on today's topic on our Talking Solutions page on Facebook, where you will also find links and a podcast of today's show. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.